Welcome to Bet On It, the college edition. We appreciate all of you guys' tweets, comments, love all over YouTube and social media. You guys asked for it, so we're giving it to you. College football. You guys ready to go?
I've never been more ready.
Awesome.
I love this week.
Do you? Last week was iffy.
I wasn't big on last week.
I didn't love last week, and it showed on Saturday. I won against Marco. I kept a couple games off my card because of Marco. So we had some fun back and forth on Twitter. And apparently there's a tweet waiting for me, but I haven't read it yet. Maybe I'll live read it during the show. But enough of me rambling, guys. I'm Kelly Stewart, your host, and we're going to be breaking down this week's college card. Gianni, the Greek Gambler, at Greek_Gambler. Marco D'Angelo, at Marco in Vegas. Make sure you guys are following them on Twitter. Let's get this week's show started. A couple of primetime Saturday night football games, Marco. I'm going to start with you.
This one's high noon.
High noon. Yes, you're right. High noon on the East Coast. It is an early morning game for me.
9 a.m. That's what sucks on the West Coast.
I think a lot of people don't realize how much pain we have to get up early.
I have to eat chicken wings and drink at 10 a.m. every Sunday.
It took me the longest time to get used to it. After 20-plus years of like Monday Night Football being late and NFL not starting until 1 in the afternoon, it was the strangest thing coming out here.
And it is weird because I'm like, what do you guys do? Go to church on Sundays? And you guys have time to go do that? Like, because they have all morning. All right, so the Red River rivalry, the showdown. What do they keep changing
it's the Red River, right? It used to be the Red River Shootout, but that wasn't politically correct, so we can't say shootout anymore.
Okay, now it's a rivalry.
Yes.
Okay.
But I just said shootout, so
it's the same thing. So let's look. It looks like 10.5 right now. Oh, even lots of 11s around town. 76.5. You guys, I think I like the under on this one, but I'm gonna just wait until about 8:57 on Saturday morning before I bet it. Marco, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of people betting the under, that's for sure, in this one. And you look at this one, first off, I'm going to put the stat out there that everybody's going to have this week with the coach for Texas, Tom Herman. 13-3 as a head coach when an underdog. Okay, it's there, it's out there, and everybody will give me flack too for that Nebraska play I had last week when I went against Northwestern, the greatest dog of all time.
You guys, I'm giving them flack as well because they didn't win outright. If they would have won outright, I would have brought in my boxing gloves to work. But they didn't win outright. I don't remember how it ended. It was a tie game, and they didn't win.
Nebraska won by 3 and didn't cover
I let it slide.
Okay.
But I was definitely at one point in time going, Kelly, this is why you don't listen to Marco.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Yeah. All right. So Tom Herman as an underdog.
Tom Herman is an underdog, but I'm not going to go that way. The knee-jerk reaction is to jump on them plus the points with Texas. You look at Texas, they score a ton of points. We look at Oklahoma, and we remember from last year how bad that defense was. But that defense is not bad this year. That defense is playing well. Oklahoma, other than the first game of the season when they gave up 31 to Houston in a 49-31 victory, they've held all of their other opponents to 20 or less since that game. Can't say the same for Texas. Texas has given up. They allowed 45 to LSU. They allowed 30 to Oklahoma State, and they allowed 31 to West Virginia. None of those teams are as good as this Oklahoma offense. This is the #1 offense in college football. They are averaging 10 yards per play. Think about that. They're making a first down on every play. That's a pretty efficient offense. I'm not stepping in front of Oklahoma.
Well, yeah, especially when, like when your team says, hey, we're not happy because we had to kick 2 field goals in the game, like as opposed, we had to settle for field goals instead of touchdowns. And you're like, dude, you guys won by 40, calm down.
I got Oklahoma winning 48-31. High-scoring game. I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with Oklahoma.
I can't disagree. I mean, this is one of those matchups where you keep hearing the underdogs live. The underdogs always live. These two teams compete regardless.
They do compete.
Who's ranked, and especially when they play earlier in the year, like October. And the history shows that. I just think the line movement, I believe, is injury-related more than anything else, because I haven't seen the betting groups get involved and just steam the hell out of Oklahoma like the line reflects. Instead, I think it's more like slow movements based on information coming out of just how banged up Texas really is. I mean, you saw last week, what was that kid came in from West Virginia and lit them up, 14 of 17 completions. Oklahoma, if they could do that, imagine what Oklahoma can do. So
I just think that secondary is very vulnerable.
That's the problem. And if they have success throwing, and running, you're in a lot of trouble. We saw how LSU was able to just go up and down the field on them. Oklahoma should be able to do the same. I haven't bet this game so far, so it's probably going to be a pass since I didn't get out ahead of it with the line moving up. But Oklahoma is the only way I can look to.
VR, I'm going to stay with you. And oh, by the way, I got a question the other day. Why do you always call him VR? Well, because when I met Gianni, his nickname was Vegas Runner. So VR is a short acronym for that. So VR, talk to me about Penn State at Iowa, the next primetime game. I like the dog here. We were talking before the show started that you saw some groups bet this one early.
Yeah, we steamed this. Actually, here's how this one got set up. It's beautiful. This one group that is labeled as, you know, a long-term winner fires $500 limit bets into on-screen books to get the line to move in one direction. And as soon as it gets to where they want it, they blast off-screen the other side. That's what happened in Iowa, Penn State. When this line went up, all it took was a handful of $500 bets from the right accounts to get that line moving in Penn State's favor. And as soon as it got to that 5.5 mark, boom, they got involved and started taking Iowa, Iowa again, Iowa all the way down to +4. So Iowa's the side they were looking at from the start, and I can't disagree with it. I made my line even higher than that. So I agreed with the Iowa side. Penn State beat them at home last year. They played close games the last 2 seasons, but being able to get Iowa as a home dog, I think there's some value there.
Marco, I also think people buy into a lot of what they saw last, and that was Iowa and Michigan in an absolute pillow fight. I was in the book. I ended up betting Michigan, but that's a whole nother story as a joke, as I fade my dad.
You bet a favorite?
I did bet a favorite.
According to Twitter, you never bet a favorite. You never win and you never bet a favorite.
So my joke is on Fridays when I talk to my dad, I'm in like long drives, so I have like 30 minutes to catch up with him, and he's like, man, I just really love Iowa this week. I'm like, yeah, Dad, you and everybody else. And Saturday morning, I was like, you know what, fine, I'll lay it with Michigan. And I think that is what people are going to remember. Well, we backed them last week. They're not a good team. This. They couldn't even beat Michigan.
Everyone was on Iowa. I had the Michigan side. On the show, I gave it out, and I said the sharps are actually against me. That line was dropping, but that was my own. I love Michigan. I thought they were undervalued, and that's a great point, that because there was so much money on the Iowa side, recreational bettors, and they got a bad taste in their mouth. So you're right. That makes a lot of sense.
All right. Talk to me about this Penn State defense, more importantly, Marco.
That's my only concern in this game is, you know, I know you, primetime home dog. This is a rare Saturday night game at Iowa. They don't play a lot of night games.
You're right.
Kinnick
Stadium is a daytime type of place.
Yeah. So the scene's going to be crazy there. And a couple years ago, Penn State, with Barkley on the team, and Trace McSorley went there and needed a last-second drive to come out of there with a victory. I think that's the kind of game you're going to see again. My concern is Iowa just has not scored points this year. They've played a couple teams that were good. They only scored 18 against Iowa State, and then last week they only scored 3 against Michigan. What are they going to do against this?
A team that allows 5 points a game on the road.
For me, I'm looking more to the under, and you're looking at a 41.5 in this game. We know in college football, a 41.5 is, you know.
Look what we saw last week.
Yeah.
And they put up, what, 13?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here in this one, unless there are some turnovers in, say, Penn State gets out
short
by
fields
gets out by 2 touchdowns, and Iowa's got to come out of their shell and try to force the issue.
Which we've seen them be able to do.
Then you see things happen with turnovers that if you're playing catch up. But I think this is going to be one of those ones where it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a field position game. For me, I'm leaning to the under. I can't disagree with Iowa. That's the side that I would look at. But that offense just scares me. They, against the soft teams they've played, yeah, they look good. But they've played 2 legitimate teams, Iowa State and Michigan, and they struggled in both of those games badly to score points.
Very good point, Marco. Great stuff, guys. It's time for us to step out for a quick break. When we return, it's time for the Steam and Sandwich Games of the Week.
Be sure to check out WagerTalk TV's new show, Pros vs. Joes, with Joe Ranieri, Rob Vino, and the Prez. Each week, they'll pick 5 featured TV games, 3 in college and 2 in the NFL. Listeners of the show can make picks on the same 5 games on a form found in the comments section of the show. All contestants will receive $10 in wager bucks just for entering the contest. If your record ties the panel, you win $25 in wager bucks. If you beat our panel of experts, you get $50 in wager bucks, and anyone going a perfect 5-0 will win $100 in wager bucks. This week only at sportsmemo.com, get a 3-day all-access package from your favorite Sportsmemo handicapper for just $39. This gets every play including 5% plays, which sell for $40 by themselves. With this special offer, you're getting 3 days for less than you would pay for one 5% play. Hurry, this is a limited time offer and only available at sportsmemo.com.
Welcome back to Bet on It each week. All season long, Gianni's going to give us his college steam game of the week, and Marco's either going to bring us his sandwich or trap game of the week. VR, you're up first. Who's the steam game of this week?
All right, we lost last week. I'm 0-2, in fact, on these steam plays, and these are from betting groups. It's hard to narrow it down. I mean, they fire so many games on college football that I try to pick at least the one out of the group where they bet the most on so far. And the money's been piling up from multiple groups on the Baylor side. And the reason that line hasn't climbed really high so far is because of the money that's coming in the other way from the public bettors and the anticipation of it. Rest assured, the books will probably end up needing the Baylor side. Texas Tech at double digits is attractive from the public.
Yeah, especially after last week.
Exactly. It's going to get some money. So I would wait on that. I think some late Texas Tech money may drive the line down a little bit. But the wise guys are on Baylor. And we saw now, especially with the quarterback situation, with not being 100%, is the backup going to play? With those question marks and seeing these groups get behind Baylor, it gives me a little confidence. Again, when I'm sharing a play from them, I don't like to give the reasoning because I don't know exactly what they see. But I see whether I agree or not. And this is one I do agree with. I'm betting Baylor. It's just a matter of what's the optimum time to get the best number.
I like it, VR. I agree with you guys on Baylor. Marco has been killing it with the sandwich games. We got the trap game last week with Pitt.
Yep.
This week we got another sandwich.
We got a sandwich this week, and we're going to go to Big 12 country for the sandwich game of the week. We're going to look at Iowa State at West Virginia, and this is simple. You look at West Virginia. This is a team that wasn't supposed to have a good year this year. Head coach leaves, bolts for Houston, left the cupboard bare. New coach comes in. They're playing well. They're buying into his system. But, guys, look. They played Texas last week. That was a huge game. Texas getting a lot of pub right now with Tom Herman and what they're doing down there. And they got Oklahoma on deck next week. So of the three games, I know it's a conference game. You say, oh, you're up for all of your conference games. No, you're not. You got Texas and you got Oklahoma sandwiched there. You're up for those games.
And you had such a pitiful performance in the second half against Texas, too.
I'm looking at Iowa State here, and this is a team, Iowa State, they're only 3-2. They might be the best 3-2 team in the country. Seriously, if you look at what they've done and who they've played, their two losses came to Iowa by a point. That's an in-state dogfight rivalry. And then their other loss came to Baylor. Baylor kicks a game-winning field goal at the end of the game to beat them 23-21. This is a team that could very easily be 5-0. And something we don't talk about in the Big 12, I'm not even sure a lot of them can even spell it. But that's defense in the Big 12. This is a spot. I didn't call out Kansas State for that one.
No, they sure didn't play defense against Baylor last week, so you're good.
Yeah, this is a spot where I got to look at Iowa State here. I like them here. We'll take them. I'll lay the points with them. This is a great spot. I like what they're doing, and they're coming off a big statement game last week for Iowa State. You could say, hey, maybe they're looking ahead to next week, Texas Tech. No, they're not. They got to get themselves in position because they already have a loss in the conference. They need to stay focused. I like them. They hung up 49 last week, got the offense going. That was the only problem with this Iowa State team. The defense has been solid all year. The offense, a little stagnant. They got it rolling last week. I think they have a field day against this West Virginia defense.
All right, good stuff, guys. It's time for us to take a commercial break. When we return, it's time for Barking Dogs.
I'm Gianni the Greek, and I absolutely love this weekend's card. In fact, I got some bombs you're going to want to drop on your book. First Saturday, not only are we unloading in college football, but I'm tossing in the UFC bets into that all-access pass for $39. Then Sunday, not only will you get the biggest bets I have in the NFL, but I'm releasing a 5% play as well. We hit last week's in college football. We're going to hit this week's in the NFL. Only $39 for each of those days.
Want up-to-the-minute scores and odds direct from Las Vegas? Then check out our WagerTalk odds page. You'll get all the latest lines along with moves as they happen from all the biggest books in Las Vegas, including Westgate Superbook, Circa, Golden Nugget, Wynn, Stations, CG, and South Point, just to name a few. Best of all, it's absolutely free.
Welcome back. It is my favorite portion of the show. You guys know I love those underdogs. We all know Gianni likes to have a little sprinkle on the money line. Talk to me, Marco, about which dog you like to bark this Saturday.
All right, we're going to go to the Temple of Doom, and they came through for us earlier this year in a spot against Maryland. We had them. That was a little money liner there. They got the job done, and I think this is the exact same spot. We got Memphis coming in here. Memphis is flying high. This is a team that in their last 4 games have scored 55, 42, 35, and 52 points. People are going to look and say they're going to roll this Temple team. Well, this is the classic offensive team versus defensive team. We got the number 10 offense in the country in Memphis, averaging 7.2 yards per play, but they're going to be facing the number 7 defense in Temple, allowing just 4 yards per play. You look at Temple, they've allowed 17 points or less to every opponent except Buffalo. And the reason I point out that Buffalo game is, if you remember, the Buffalo game was the game immediately following the Maryland game. And that's the game I gave out Buffalo, and you bet at money line too, didn't you? Oh, sorry, I forgot. That's when you didn't play money line.
I took the 14.5. I thought that was sufficient, Marco.
Okay, well, what was the money line on that one?
A lot.
A lot? Okay, all right. So
Plus
I don't want to hear any more about Nebraska, okay?
Oh, I didn't say, listen, again, it didn't win outright, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, but you don't play all of them outright. Buffalo again? But let's look at this one. Defensively, Memphis can't stop the run at all. They are ranked 65th in the nation, allowing 4.1 yards per run. I think Temple's going to be able to control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. They're going to be able to run the football. And when you got a team that can run the football and Memphis can't stop anybody, that's great when you're trying to protect that lead late in the game, because not only are you protecting the lead, you can add to the lead because you're doing something that you're going to have success with. I like Temple here. I'm taking them plus the points. Make a little sprinkle on this one, too. This sets up perfectly. It's just been too easy for Memphis. You look at the teams they played, they haven't faced the defense all year. The only team that they did face, and it's not that they have a good defense, it was just that they're out of a good conference, but they're at the bottom half of that conference. When they faced Ole Miss at the beginning of the season, it was a 15-10 game. If they thought Ole Miss's defense was tough, where do they see this Temple one? I like Temple plus the points. They are going to bark on Saturday.
I hope so, because they're on my short list to make my 3-team money line parlay. They might just get there after Marco's convincing argument.
I agree with Temple. I like Temple, too.
VR, who do you have barking?
I'm going to go against the Cadets, and I'm going to take Western Kentucky here. And don't let this line move fool you. This is set up written all over it. I'm sharing that with you right here. So that line moving up, just let it keep trickling up and then come in and get the best of it. I like Western Kentucky in this spot. Since they lost that game 1 where they were double-digit favorites, they've gone on to win 3 of their last 4, covered 3 of their last 4. They got the 31st ranked run defense. Obviously a little skewed with the numbers based on the opposition. It's always like that. Especially with a small sample size like college football where they play 10, 11 games. But with that said, they have done well there. And I think Army's going to have some trouble scoring points. And more importantly with Army is after that way they played Michigan, their stock just went through the roof. And you notice, even though they've won 2 of their last 3 games, they haven't covered. And I always say the spread becomes the great equalizer. And these markets are very efficient. They correct themselves. And again, once Army stock went through the roof, the way they looked against Michigan, that's when you want to start betting against them. And there's no reason to stop here. Western Kentucky at plus money. I love it.
All right, guys, when we come back, it's time for some TNA with Mr. Ralph Michaels. Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at WagerTalk and Sportsmemo.com.
Hey guys, you know I have to have a big special for Marco, VR, and Kelly allowing me a spot on their show. I appreciate it. I'll tell you what, the NFL, a 17-6-2 NFL regular season run, that is 74%. My college football, 31-19 my last 50 plays, that is 62%, including 9-4 the last 2 weeks. I've had a couple bittersweet weeks the last 2 weeks where my top play has lost, but I went 6-1. I want you on my football plays for an entire 30-day package. Use code 126, and that'll save you $126 off an all-access 30-day package. Go to WagerTalk.com, go to the Ralph Michaels page, click the 30-day all-access for $325, use code 126, and you're getting 4 weeks for less than the price of 2. Appreciate you listening. 30 days of football, $199. Be a part of it.
Welcome back to Bet On It. It's time for one of our most popular segments for the college football show. Ralph Michaels, TNA. We've been doing really well with some of these trends and angles. Now, remind people when to use trends and angles.
Well, again, you know, these are situations that you're seeing how a team is playing. It's current form. So you're not going to base a play on it, but it's certainly going to help you with a game or against a game. And, you know, and now that we're in October, I want to bring up just a way that your mentality should change handicapping. We're into conference games. Teams play a little more conservative. Teams are now playing opponents that are familiar with them. Teams are playing for game plans that they've had for multiple years. So when we get to October conference games tend to go under. When I broke them out into conferences going back to 2016, only the Sun Belt and only the Big 12 had October over-under records over 50%. And the Big 12 was just barely, and the Sun Belt was right at 50%. You look at like American Conference games, AAC games, back to 2016. Conference games in October, 37 and 57, 39.4% to the over, 61% to the under. MAC games, 43 and 55, 43.9% to the over, 56% to the under, and that includes the ACC as well and the SEC. So when we get to October, remember, the scoring averages are different, the strength of opponents different, and the familiarity is different, so tend to lean under in those October conference games. Now we're talking about over-unders, and I've mentioned this before, and I want to continue to mention this. Don't be afraid to play low totals under. People look at San Diego State and Wyoming and say 38.5. Is that a typo? Is that an NFL game?
Iowa, Michigan last week.
You know, so over-unders of 39 or less have gone 9, 21, and 1, 70% to the under.
Wow.
So it's that simple. Vegas is used to putting a line out where people are accustomed to seeing a number. It takes a lot of money to move a number off 40 to go down below into the 30s, and even more to get to 38.5. But there's a reason. San Diego State and Wyoming, both very stodgy offenses that are going to run 55 to 60 plays. A good reason to bet the under. I do actually like that game under as well. Well, moving to a couple situations now, let's look at how teams did. You're off a 21-plus point win prior to your bye. And now you're an away favorite of 1 to 17.5. So I'll use a Marco term. You're into your bye fat and sassy, right? You have a 21-point win. Now you're the better team. You're an away favorite. You're rested. You're fresh. Going back to 2016, you're 15-6-1 against the spread, 72%. That's Utah this week against Oregon State. And it could be Ohio State versus Northwestern if Ohio State stays under the 17.5-point spread. Because when we get to multiple scores of 18 or more, it does actually turn into a negative record, so you don't want to play it. How about teams that got outgained by 120 yards and won the game as an away dog of up to 17? So you're off a game that you probably had a turnover edge, or you had some special teams touchdowns.
Well, there was a reason
you got outgained. Right. So you were outgained, You won the game, and now you're an away dog of up to 17. You're only 9-27 against the spread, 25%.
Wow.
2 teams fit into the mix, and I will say this. There was a very similar angle last week, which was Stanford, which lost, which actually pulled the outright upset. But that is fade Middle Tennessee and fade Miami of Ohio against Western Michigan. And the last one, you know, I love it because it's playing on a home favorite off a road game, and they have revenge for a road loss the year before where they allowed 50 or more points. So this team got crushed last year. They allowed 50 points. Now they're a favorite or a small dog. They're a home favorite, so they're the better team. 39-11 going back to 2003, 78%. NC State against Syracuse, and it might be Michigan again and Ohio State talking in a few weeks if the line falls into place. So some situations to help you handicap. Again, don't base a play on a trend or an angle, but help it make your play become stronger or perhaps keep you off a loser.
All right, great stuff, Ralph. It is time to take our last break of the show, but when we return, it's college best bet time.
Every Monday at WagerTalk.com, all plays are just $9. This even includes top-rated 5% plays, which normally sell for $40. There's no better day to get winning picks than $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com and our sister site, Sportsmemo.com.
Guys, I'm killing it in college and pro football, going 28-10 the last 4 weeks with all of my football plays, increasing my clients' bankrolls by over 60% in just a 4-week period. My famous 5% major wager plays, we've won 5 of the last 6, and going back to last year, we're 9-2 the last 11 with the special 5% major wager plays in college football. We're also 1-0 with our NFL 5% plays on the season. My next 5% major wager play goes this Saturday, and it looks like I'm having one on Sunday as well. Just those 2 plays by themselves would sell for $40 a piece. That's $80 for 2 plays. Or you can pick up a 7-day all-access package for just $79 using coupon code MARCO79. Get all of my plays for just $79. Check it out on my homepage at WagerTalk.com.
All right, it's everybody's favorite part of the show. Not mine, because I've been doing terrible the last 2 weeks in my best bet. So I'm going to go first and just get it out of the way. Taking an ugly home dog. Go figure. The Arizona Wildcats +6. Just roast me now when Jacob Eason finally has a great game on the road. No, I do like this Arizona team. I think Khalil Tate is going to do a lot of damage, just like we saw last week, versus this Huskies defense. It's going to be a barn burner. I probably recommend betting the over as well, but I'm going to take Arizona +6. Don't forget to sprinkle a little bit on the money line. Marco, you're first.
Yeah, Kelly, you couldn't have taken any more heat than I took last week for my best bet. We had a great show last week with my plays for the college segment, but I lost my best bet. And that's all Twitter talked about. It was my best bet that got toasted by like 30 points. Yeah, they did. It sucked. What can I say?
And it's going to happen again. When you bet every day, that's part of the realities, man.
But we go like 4-1 on the show last weekend, but it was the best bet. So I got to win this one for you guys.
4-1 is unacceptable.
It is. I have to win this one for you guys this week. We're not taking any crappy team this week. We're going to the Pac-12, and I'm taking Utah. This is the best team in the Pac-12, in my opinion. They are the best defense in the Pac-12, no questions about that. Some people might want to say Washington's defense, but no, Utah's defense is on a different level. And Oregon State, that was one of our winners last week. That was our barking dog play. They went into UCLA and just slapped them around. There's a big difference. The UCLA defense, it's basically like a bullfighter. You know how they have their cape and the bull comes running and they just go woof and they move the thing and they let him go by. That's what the UCLA defense looks like. That's not going to be the defense they face this week. They're going to be feeling like they're running into a brick wall against this Utah team. And after beating UCLA last week, granted, UCLA has not been relevant in the Pac-12 for a few years, but for a team like Oregon State, that is still a big name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tradition-wise.
When your name's Oregon State.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You beat any one of your Pac-12 teams, you're happy.
So you go on the road and you beat UCLA the way they beat UCLA, throw it out there. I haven't been able to use this for a while, but they're fat and sassy. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. I think Utah shuts them completely down. In the Utah offense, this is something we haven't seen from Utah. We're used to seeing that defense every year and seeing them in 17-10, 17-13 type games. They're putting points up this year. They scored 30 on their rival BYU, 35 against Northern Illinois. They scored 23 against USC. Now, they lost that USC game, but remember, that was a Friday night game on the road. We know how those standalone weekday games, how it's tough to go into another, the primetime home dogs, as Kelly loves to jump on.
I love it.
And then they put up 38 on Washington State last week. I think they roll Oregon State. I am laying the 13.5. And how many people are going to look and see and say, hey, look at this. UCLA, they put up 48 points against UCLA and are getting 2 touchdowns almost.
You better lay 13.5 quickly because it's on its way to 14, boys and girls.
Yeah, as soon as this is out, it'll definitely be at 14. So go ahead, take Utah, lay the points. That's my best bet.
All right, VR, I'm ready.
All right, pick side or total.
Whatever you want,
Give me
man.
side or total.
Let's go side.
Side, all right. This is a big game. Alabama, Texas A&M. Got to go with Texas A&M here. It may look square. You're getting a team like Texas A&M getting points at home, but it is against Alabama. And I think Texas A&M, coming off last week, that look ahead, they got caught looking ahead. I like that. I like that they didn't look good last week. That gives us a little bit of a shaded number towards that Texas A&M line. I see 16.5 at a lot of the sharper shops. This has backdoor cover written all over it. I don't expect Texas A&M.
Just like we saw versus Clemson.
Yeah,
Jimbo Fisher's going to score.
Texas A&M is not going to beat Alabama. I don't expect that to happen. But I do expect them at home to give us 60 minutes of effort. Too many teams quit, and that's the fear of taking dogs for the game. And I touched on last week, a lot of times if you're going to bet a dog, you may want an ugly dog, you may want to bet it in the first half as the favorite systematically breaks it down. Usually the cream rises to the top. And you see it a lot with the Patriots in the NFL where they cover for the game. But if you go back and look at the first half, a lot of those games they did not cover. But getting back to Texas A&M, Alabama, Alabama crushed them last year. But I think this will resemble closer to the game the year prior at A&M, where, Alabama went in there as 25-point favorites, only won the game by less than double digits. I like Texas A&M to hang in there, and I like that back door to remain open the entire game. So give me the 16.5, 17 with Texas A&M.
All right, guys, I liked everybody's best bet. I hope you guys like it, and I hope we cash some big tickets. Again, thank you guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed tonight's college edition of Bet On It. Jeez, Bet On It show as much as we did doing it. If you are not a subscriber to our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell. That way you'll always be the first to know when the next week's show is out. Be sure to share our show with all your friends and on social media. Don't forget to check out the NFL Bet On It show. Till next week, let's bet on it.